All right, here's our last and final example. Example 2, it says x squared minus 8x equals negative 16. And so just a reminder from the last set of videos that we went through, it must be set to 0 in order to graph and solve, okay? And so we don't want that negative 16 over there. We're going to want to add 16 to both sides. So what I have now is x squared minus 8x plus 16 equals 0. I want to make sure that it's set to 0. That's the one that I could be using. Okay, so again, we're going to go through, we're going to find our axis of symmetry. We're going to plug in numbers. So we got negative, and instead of b, I'm going to plug in a negative 8 over 2, and instead of a, I'm going to plug in a 1. So we on the top here, we have a negative and a negative, which is going to get us a positive. 8 over 2 is now equal to 4. So our axis of symmetry is 4, which we're then going to use to find the vertex. So I did the vertex already. Anywhere we saw an x, I went ahead and I plugged in a 4. We got some bigger numbers here. 16 minus 32 is negative 16. The negative 16 plus 16 is 0. So our vertex, which is again the most important point, the middle of our parabola, is going to go in the middle, of our table. Okay, so it's already here. I'm now going to plug in more numbers that build around 4. Okay, these numbers are all positive, so our numbers should be pretty good. I'm going to have my y values over here. Okay, and I'm going to plug in everything into x squared minus 8x plus 16. So these numbers are going to get kind of bigger, but it is okay. So we're going to go 2 squared minus 8 times 2 plus 16. We get 4 minus 16 plus 16, and what we get here, that creates a 0 pair, and we get 4. And again, if I do the bottom one, we should start to see some matching numbers here. We got bigger numbers, 36 minus 48 plus 16, and then what we get here is a positive 4 as well. Okay, so here I'm going to go and I'm going to plug in 3 squared minus 8 times 3 plus 16. Okay, 3 squared is 9. Negative 8 and 3 is negative 24 plus 16. Okay, and what we get here is 9 minus 24 plus, which is going to give us a negative 15, plus 16, which gets us a positive 1. And we're going to do the last one here, 5 squared minus 8 times 5 plus 16. We get 25 minus 40 plus 16. We get negative 15 plus 16, which is a 1. Okay, so you can pause that if you want to re-look through my math and see where I got it. Okay, now check this out, and I mentioned this in the last video. When I look at my y values, notice I have a 0 right here. That's going to be important because that's actually going to be where our answer is at. Okay, so if I come over here to my graph, I've already have it graphed. I have my 5 dots. Okay, and notice that this parabola only touches the x-axis one time. Remember, that's where we find our roots, is on the x-intercepts. And this one only has one root, which means that it's only going to give us one answer. And that answer is where it crosses, which is at 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so our answer is x equals 4. And again, if you can make the connection in our table, wherever we see a 0, that's going to be our answer. This one only had 1. Our last video didn't have any. The ones with 2 roots, they would have 2 zeros you would find in your table, and so that's where you're going to get your answers. Okay, you're going to get them wherever they cross the x-axis, and that's graphing. That's solving by graphing. Okay, I'm going to show you more different methods. There's 4 other methods we're going to go through. Graphing will be your least favorite of them all, which is why I do it first, just to get it out of the way, because it takes the longest. But it is one way to figure out the answers to a quadratic. So let me know if you have any questions. Join our Google Meet on Thursday and Friday at 11 a.m. And then you can see some of the answers to your graphs that you're doing. All right, let me know.